Hey guys, I'm Daryl and welcome to this edition of our camper trailer build. You'll recall over the Christmas break I was complaining about the weather and how the fires and the amount of dust and smoke in the Sydney region of Australia, and how there were really no fires close to me. Well, over the last week and a half or so, all of those fires have been put out, and that's most of the east coast as far as I know. We've been deluged with rain to the extent that our dam levels were at 41% about a week and a week ago, and they're now at 75–76%. So we've had a 30% in our water storage needs for the whole of the Sydney region in a week. So you can understand it hasn't been conducive to building a camper in your carport. It's just been dank and horrible, and I've put up a massive tarp on one side to stop the water coming in, which luckily it didn't, but the air has just been so humid and water filled it hasn't been funny. But anyway, I have snuck out, I have done some work, and we're progressing to the point where next episode we should be putting the cladding on the sides, which is very exciting because we can then install the windows and the like. But this week there's been more wiring. I'm kind of sick of wiring, but it has to be done, and starting to button up the camper, getting ready for some cladding. So let's go and run through what I've done. Insulation in the roof panels, I'm up to that section in part of it. For insulation I'm using this 20mm thick foil-faced foam board. It's an insulation product, it has an R rating. I'm putting 2 layers of this in to get my 40mm. Why aren't I putting in 1 layer of 40? Just a supply thing. I can pick this up from the local hardware shop, and if I need another sheet for whatever reason I can just whip up and get it. It's pretty cheap. I just didn't want to go through the drama, and I don't see the issue with doubling up on this. So that's what we're doing there. I've filled in the front angle of the camper already with insulation, and on top of the insulation I'm putting in a 4mm sheet of marine ply. That's Sikaflex to everything and then screwed in with stainless steel screws across it all. Why am I doing that? Because on top of that I'm putting in a 3mm sheet of composite aluminium. I've listened to both sides of the argument. I was originally thinking I don't need the ply. However, the guys that build these for a living and allow you to take them off-road say it's not a bad thing because it adds to the structural rigidity of the box a lot, and after doing the front sheet I can see why. So I'm going to do that, and on top of that we can layer on the composite material. The 4mm ply is on the front angle, the flat section of the roof, and the upswept rear angle of the camper. Now with that 4mm ply sheet, the front section's already on, so that's ready for cladding. The next will be the upswept rear section. I've prepared that for that ply sheet, and then all the sides and front and rear are ready for cladding. Now this is the upswept rear portion of the camper. Now with this section in here, I see a lot of guys putting access panels in the kitchen bench top. I don't like that. I reckon you get all sorts of crap in here. So what I've done is I've put an access panel inside the camper that I can just undo 4 screws, and that pops out and I can get in here. The only reason I'd want to get in here is for wiring purposes, or if I want to add a sink at a later date and I need to access that. Now with the floor at the back of the camper, I was a little bit concerned because it's inside this rear cavity and the end grain was showing. To get around that, because if there's any water ingress it will get into the end grains of the timber, so I've put in this strip of aluminium. It finishes it off really nice, and with the Sikaflex behind it, it should stop any moisture getting into that end grain. It is all marine ply, so we shouldn't have an issue. However, I just figured while we're there, let's do it properly. So this section here will have ply, 4mm ply put on top of it, and then it'll have the composite material over the top of that. The rest of this work has been running loom underneath the camper. That blue wire you see there is the brake controller wire. I still have to run those. I'm waiting for some Deutsch connectors. I've put in an earth for the AC and an earth for the 12 volt on the original earth point of the chassis. Now within this loom we have a few things happening. The battery lives at the front, most of the connections at the rear. So we've got a fairly thick cable with an Anderson plug that brings the 12 volt from the battery to the rear of the camper. We have a cable that runs from the rear of the camper to the battery, and that will be our solar input, because the solar that'll go up through here and exit through the roof. At the back of the camper we also have this wire. This is for all our tail lights at the back of the camper, and that brings the braking from the front too. If we go around the front of the camper, our battery's going to live around here somewhere. I still haven't decided on battery. So, as you can see, we've got our Anderson plug. That takes the charge from the battery back to the back of the camper. We've got our solar feed to the front of the camper. We have a 12 volt from the Anderson plug that connects to the car that runs back into this section of the camper. Now this is the cable that runs along the drawbar. That connector will go into the vehicle and will control all the lights and the like. There'll also be an Anderson plug that'll connect into the vehicle too. Yes, and I bought a 250 watt solar panel that'll go on the roof. That's a folding panel, but it'll be laying flat on the roof. So that's where we are at this point of time, just chipping away at the little things, and you get some little wins that are quite good. It was quite nice to be able to just chuck the battery at the front and run power to the back instead of having to have it sitting on the floor at the back. Because it is nice to be able to work on the camper with the lights on. So yeah, little gains, although next episode, big gains. Cladding. Side cladding, we're going to tackle that. That's a can of worms by itself, but anyway, we'll talk about that next episode. So keep an eye out for the episodes. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on my camper trailer build. Bye now.